of the first missions for the purpose of creating a community that was built. This is Mission Concepcion, and it has the unique characteristic. It's the least restored structurally of any mission in North or South America. It's because it was built on bedrock. The only part that's been reconstructed structurally is the dome and back. The rest of it is all original walls. Spanish sent their army to go start gathering riches for the Queen of Spain and their treasury. And they went up and down claiming everything in the name of to be New Spain, and they claimed this area all the way up to around Louisiana, and the French had claimed that area. Well, it seems that while the Spanish just were running up and down, the French were actually setting up colonies and settling in Louisiana. And this all of a sudden gave the Spanish a bit of a worry, because, gee, they could encroach on our claim and we don't have any settlements to stop them. So they decided that the fastest thing they could do would be to send the priests and the soldiers up to convert the natives to become the citizens of New Spain. And they set up the missions up in East Texas, and they also set up Mission San Antonio de Valero as kind of a waypoint. Think of it as a stagecoach stop kind of thing, where the soldiers and the priests and all could rest, get fresh horses, have a meal, and then continue on that long journey up to East Texas. Something they didn't stop to consider was that the Indians might not exactly want to go along with all this. At first, the local Indians up in East Texas didn't exactly fight the Spaniards to start with. They let them build their thing and kind of ignored them until they started getting sick. At that point, they none too kindly informed the Spaniards that they were leaving. And the Spanish came back after suffering a military loss, and came back to Mission San Antonio de Valero, and they discovered that the natives here were in a much different situation than the ones up in East Texas. By the way, the ones up in East Texas we now call Comanche. To them, fun and games was counting coop, and they were kind of a rough bunch. The ones here were much more passive, and they were also starving to death. They were in the middle of a huge drought. And the Spanish said, well, we'll teach you to farm, but you have to learn Spanish. You have to become a Catholic. Give up your religion, give up your culture, adopt our culture and our way of life. Well, the local Indians didn't really have a whole lot of choice. They were starving to death. So they agreed to become the citizens of New Spain. They helped build the missions, and they farmed them under supervision, and learned irrigated farming, which the Spanish brought that technology with them. This is Mission San Jose. It is the most restored mission in San Antonio. The walls and the whole structure has been restored back to pretty much original condition. They tried to use similar materials, and you can tell looking at the lines in the wall what was left and where they restored it to. But they did try to restore it as true as they could. I get asked about half of the time about those little holes that you see, and those are gun portals. They did have attacks not from the Indians that joined with them, but the Comanche up in East Texas decided to follow them down here because it looked like easy raiding. The concrete is not original, but that is the original route of the irrigation ditch, which the Spanish called an acequia. And acequia sounds a whole lot nicer than irrigation ditch, so that's what I'm going to use from this point forward as well. What you're looking at here, this old stone building, again restored, that was pretty much in ruins, but that is where and how the mill that was built with this mission was, and they've kept it pretty much true, with the exception of the concrete and the sluiceway. The water would go in through that sluiceway and would turn a water wheel that rotated a shaft that would turn the millstones, the grinding stones, to grind whatever they were milling at the time. Typically that would be corn or pecans to make either corn flour, pecan flour, or any of the other local things that they figured out how to make a flour from. Welcome to the Espada Aqueduct. The Espada Aqueduct is one of the few remaining examples of aqueducts that were built for the Acequias in North America. This particular one was rebuilt back in the 1930s as part of Roosevelt's WPA programs, and it was restored again about 30 years ago. So most of what you see is not the original structure, but again, they were very careful to rebuild it as it was originally, with the exception of the concrete cap where there's still water up there if you walk up and look. Something I always thought was really interesting is that if you look at how our laws in the US in almost every state are worded, most of it comes from Old English law. The water rights in Texas do not come from Old English law. They come from Spanish law. And as a matter of fact, the rights to use this water was formally given to the Franciscan monks through a letter granting those rights of use by King Philippe of Spain way back in the 1600s. This came into play when about 50 years ago they started a channelization flood control project for San Antonio, and they cut off the acequias. Well, the Catholic Church wasn't real happy about that here in San Antonio. Local diocese and the Franciscan monks, and well, they got the Vatican to go back into their archives, and sure enough, they had King Philippe's letter, and they sued San Antonio. Now, what's this about you can't fight City Hall? I think the Catholic Church can. They won their suit, and the city of San Antonio built a pumping station that has restored water to the acequias. This is the Tree of Life sculpture garden, and it is a recent last few years development here in San Antonio. It was a cooperative effort through the local artist community. One came up with the idea and enlisted support of other artists, and so you have sculptures hanging here on this frame that were created by many different artists in our community. Welcome to Mission Espada. This mission was most severely damaged by Indian attacks, and in fact in the I think it was around 1824 was completely overrun and pretty much burned to the ground in the Comanche raids. What you see of the walls going around have been touched up a little, but in all honesty, though, that's pretty much what was left. The church itself was restored starting at about 1850. Father Francis Bach, I believe his name was assigned to be the priest of the mission. There wasn't much for him to be priest of, but he started rebuilding it. And he did a lot of it by himself, but eventually got some of the neighbors to help. A lot of the neighbors had some of the original rock here and had taken it to build their own little domiciles, but they got enough rock to rebuild the church as you see it, and eventually the arches and the rooms back behind it over here. Originally, when this mission was built, the chapel was over there, and they elected for some reason, I don't know why, to change that to the granary and put the chapel over here. The area out that way was a ranch that was kind of a, think of it as like a contract operation. There was a private ranch operator that did so under contract with the Franciscan missionaries that ran the church. They had a dual structure where the priests ran everything religious, and a civilian mission manager or municipal manager ran everything that wasn't religious. So, matter of fact, there was a scandal here when the mission manager here got together with the one over at Mission San Juan. They decided that they wanted to get some more ornate arches like they had at Mission San Jose, and they had a stonemason brought over. They didn't do a good background check on him, and he started making time with the mission manager's wife. And things degraded, and there was a fight, and the stonemason just about came close to killing the mission manager. It's thought that he did, but the mission manager came crawling back, and the stonemason disappeared, never mentioned in the church archives again. This is Mission San Juan. It, like Mission Espada that we just came from, was established after the other missions in San Antonio were built, and was established for the purposes of agriculture, feeding the people. They had too many people join the Mission San Jose for it to be self-sufficient anymore. So that was why they expanded out and built 2 more agricultural missions. One of the most interesting things to me about this mission was established 300 years ago to feed the people. The other missions that we stopped at are jointly operated by the National Park Service and the Catholic Church. This one, there's a third partner, the San Antonio Food Bank. The Acequias are still running water and irrigating the fields behind us over there. We'll go out there in a minute. But this mission, 300 years later, is still feeding the people. Yeah. Okay, the Acequia feed is coming from back behind us, and you'll see right here there's sluiceways where they can direct it to different fields in the area here. And these fields are now all actively farmed by volunteers from the San Antonio Food Bank and the parishioners here. And you can sign up to help with their farming operations through the San Antonio Food Bank website. The San Antonio Food Bank gets their fresh produce right here from their own production. I'm going to stop here because it's in the shade. We're missing 2? Oh, okay. These are the ruins of the old Hot Wells Resort. The hotel doesn't exist anymore at all. It was over to the left of the spa building. The spa building had separate ladies and gents sides, and there were pools in the middle. Closer to the gents side, there was a gentleman's pool. Closer to the ladies side, there was a ladies pool. There was a pool in the middle. Remember, this is back in the late 1800s. Times were pretty conservative back then. That was the co-ed pool, the scandalous co-ed pool. Folks from San Antonio pretty much never got to come in here unless they were making beds, changing sheets, waiting on tables, delivering towels. This was a rich and famous celebrity of the day resort.